Although national air quality has improved dramatically over the last 20 years, challenges remain in protecting public health and the environment. In many areas of the country, people continue to suffer from respiratory and other health problems directly related to air pollution. Recent data show that nearly 160 million people live in non-attainment areas for ground-level ozone, also called smog, which is formed by nitrogen oxides or NOx and other pollutants. Close to 90 million people live in areas that violate air quality standards for particulate matter, or small airborne particles. These air pollution problems are manifested by increases in premature mortality, increased asthma-related emergency room visits, increased risk for heart attacks, strokes, and numerous other health impacts, as well as millions of lost school and work days. One of the largest sources of air pollution is diesel exhaust. The construction industry is an important sector of the U.S. economy, employing more than 7 million people, with recent construction projects totaling over $1 trillion, or nearly 9% of gross domestic product. More than 2 million pieces of diesel construction equipment are used throughout the nation every day, generating almost 40% of land-based particulate matter emissions, commonly referred to as soot, and more than 30% of all land-based non-road emissions of nitrogen oxides, which are a major component of smog. In addition, diesel engines also emit numerous other toxic air pollutants. Along with mobile equipment such as bulldozers, cranes, excavators, and loaders, construction sites depend on stationary diesel engine equipment in a variety of applications. Diesel generators provide electrical power, while diesel compressors and pumps perform many other important construction tasks. Diesel engines can operate for decades. There are millions of diesel engines already in use that do not meet EPA's cleanest engine standards. These engines will continue to emit large amounts of nitrogen oxides and particulate matter. Fortunately, there are various products and technologies being employed throughout the industry to address emissions reduction, including ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel, more efficient diesel engines, diesel oxidation catalysts, and diesel particulate filters. By reducing emissions from both mobile and stationary diesel engines, the construction industry has the opportunity to address the problem of air pollution and help provide a cleaner, safer environment. One of the most significant construction projects in the United States today is doing just that. The Federal Transit Administration's Lower Manhattan Recovery Office, working with the area's transportation agencies like the New York Metropolitan Transportation Authority, is helping to rebuild the vital transportation infrastructure of this great city.
Good morning and welcome to New York. I'm Ramesh Raman and I'm with MTA Capital Construction. I'm responsible for the clean diesel exhaust emission program on construction equipment. Small space, a lot of construction equipment, a lot of people walking around construction equipment, no diesel smell and no black soup. You get the idea. That's what the program's all about.
New York's Lower Manhattan is a center of international finance and an American icon. Covering some 1.25 square miles, this area has over 108 million square feet of office space. More than 385,000 people are employed here, and 85% of them arrive daily by public transit.
People are sometimes surprised that people do live in the financial district. A building might have retail at the street level, but above it could be a co-op with many families with many kids. There are over 30,000 people that live down and around this key financial center. And there's a lot of tourists. It's very, very crowded. It's very, very dense. So therefore, when there are construction projects in an already congested neighborhood, a lot of work has to be done to minimize the impact on the people that live and work here.
Using clean diesel technologies to lead the way towards cleaner air, both the Day Street and South Ferry sites are complicated and challenging urban construction projects. As part of the Fulton Street Transit Center project, construction at Day Street will create an underground pedestrian walkway, connecting the PATH train terminal to the Fulton Street Transit Center, providing a gateway to subway lines across Manhattan and beyond. The South Ferry project will construct a new underground corridor, rerouting several subway lines, as well as establishing a new station at Battery Park and the Staten Island Ferry Terminal. Subcontract values from $3 million and up have brought more than 10 subcontractors with non-road construction equipment to the project, including 2 major retrofit suppliers and a fuel supplier wet hosing equipment on the site. Over 100 machines with Tier 2 engines ranging from 50 to 500 horsepower that meet some of EPA's most stringent standards. Over 100 diesel particulate filters were installed. Over 350,000 gallons of ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel have been used.
Air quality, noise, dust become an issue, and they become significant when a community surrounds the project site in such large gatherings.
I've been in the business 23 years, various different positions. This is the first project I've been involved with where we've had such strict diesel emissions requirements.
Our contract specifications asked for 3 simple things. Tier 2 engines with diesel particulate filter using ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel. We had some challenges in accomplishing these project specifications when it hit the contractor's desk.
When we first started, it was very difficult and frustrating because quite a few of the manufacturers didn't quite have what was required. Some of them were a little bit behind. Some of them were on top of it. And we also had quite a few subs who we had to bring along with this process. So initially it was difficult and frustrating, but as we worked through it, we got the hang of it pretty well. And as time goes on and more jobs come out, it'll just be the norm.
Ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel has a reduction in sulfur content from roughly 3,000 parts per million for current non-road diesel to 15 parts per million. This fuel improvement will create immediate and significant environmental and public health benefits, reducing particulate matter and nitrogen oxides, as well as other toxic air pollutants. And it will enable the use of new, highly efficient emission control technology on non-road, off-highway engines. As of October 2006, ultra-low sulfur diesel became the fuel standard for the highway sector, available nationwide.
The mitigation measures that we designed into the program started off with ultra-low sulfur diesel as the first element. It typically would reduce the particulate matter by about 10 to 15%. So that was the first thing that was put in place. The infrastructure was typically available. There were some doubts and some concerns about the ability to deliver it at a project site of this magnitude and service all the pieces of equipment. Tracking was a nightmare and an administrative nightmare initially because of a number of different suppliers. This was overcome by the general contractor single sourcing it and the fuel supplier barcoding all pieces of equipment. This resolved all administrative issues and we got a clean, neat, single report once a month which answered everybody's needs. Second thing that we examined was the engine itself that would arrive with the equipment. EPA had put out a tier rating on engines that measured PM at the time the engine was manufactured. It just so happened Tier 2 engines were arriving into the marketplace from the manufacturers. Tier 2 engines inherently are 60+% better in particulate matter. Starting with a cleaner engine made a lot of sense.
Non-road diesel engines are rated by a tier-level system, indicating emission standards. Prior to 1996, there were no emission standards for non-road diesel engines. From 1996 through 2006, increasingly more stringent Tier 1 and Tier 2 standards were phased in. Tier 3 and Tier 4 engine standards will bring even greater reduction in particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, and toxic air pollutants, promoting better public health and a cleaner environment.
The engine technology has been changing at a breakneck pace. Caterpillar's been adding electronic sensors, they're adding computers and electronically controlled fuel injection systems to help pull the emissions down to EPA federal levels. But in this area, due to the attainment, a non-attainment zone, that the city has such a high construction density, they want to take that emissions control for, one step or several steps further.
Construction equipment can be expensive, and companies make a significant investment in either buying or renting different pieces of diesel equipment to complete projects. Properly maintained, the equipment can have a long operational life, often lasting more than 25 to 30 years. Of the 2 million pieces of construction equipment operating daily in the U.S., approximately 30% are older diesel engines with no emission controls. These legacy machines can be repowered with a new, more efficient engine and advanced engine controls to significantly reduce both particulate matter and nitrogen oxide emissions at a cost much lower than the purchase of a piece of new equipment. Across the country, equipment manufacturers and suppliers have been repowering a wide variety of construction equipment. For one supplier in Houston, Texas, repowering has become a standard procedure.
Repowering an older machine with a Tier 1 engine or with a newer engine adds life to the machine. And along with maybe some component rebuilds, they can get a second, even a third life out of a machine that they may spend $250,000, $350,000 to replace. They get it for a fraction of the cost to do this. And some of the machines may be as old as 20 years old. The better technology of today's electronically controlled engines can just outperform the old mechanically controlled engines and mechanical fuel systems in them. It's been a good experience for us. We feel like we've benefited from it, and we feel good about the fact that with this one customer that we're doing for Williams Brothers, estimated over the lifespan of those machines, will reduce emissions released into the atmosphere by at least 500 tons. So we're very happy about that and pleased to be a part of it.
The third challenge was trying to get beyond the Tier 2 60% and put a filter on the machine itself. The fears were that we hadn't tried this before. In fact, nobody else had. There were studies done under very controlled conditions, but this was not a controlled condition. This was open market, open construction. The manufacturer of the retrofit, would he be able to supply the quantities needed was a big issue. And one of the other fears was it should not come in the way of a schedule. The construction schedule shouldn't get penalized because of having to have an equipment outfitted with a diesel particulate filter. So these were all concerns, legitimate, and yet we had to look at a diesel particulate filter would reduce particulate matter by greater than 90%.
One of the benefits, we were able to basically get this program started from the ground up. Between the Schiavone job we worked on with the MTA to Day Street, we were basically building this program as we went along. The MTA was instrumental in basically going back to the manufacturers, researching the information that we needed to help make ourselves and the DPFs compatible for our rigs. So it's been a building process that we've gone through, and we've basically laid the groundwork for other contractors to follow us, and it has made it a lot easier because we've done a lot of the legwork. And it shows really well how the MTA can work with not only manufacturers but subcontractors and general contractors to make this transition a lot easier.
This process started January of 2005. We were one of the subcontractors that were elected to start this project through the MTA project, through Schiavone Contracting and some of the contractors that were down here. Part of the process of retrofitting is determining what type of off-road equipment they have and the sizes of the equipment and the sizes of the engine. an off-road piece of equipment, some case scenario, it's so large, can we actually make a filter to fit it? So what we have to do is some engineering before we actually can sell them a filter. Instead of having it like an air filter and changing it every day, this will last over a course of 1,000 hours before it needs to be cleaned on an annual basis instead of a daily basis. On this particular site, on a warranty basis, we warranty the product for 2,000 working hours or 2 years. And we started the site in January of 2005. It's almost 2 years. We haven't had one warranty issue on this particular site.
I noticed that it's a lot quieter, a lot cleaner. It's a lot friendlier to the people in the neighborhood, you know, and I don't go home smelling like a diesel truck at the end of the day.
Personally, it's a lot better. You know, when you sit in this machine for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, and you're smelling those fumes all the time, you kind of get a little nauseous and sick at times.
Every piece of equipment, whether it was a generator 50 horsepower or a crane that was 750 horsepower, had a diesel particulate filter put on.
Diesel oxidation catalysts, or DOCs, are a common exhaust aftertreatment technology used to reduce emissions when diesel particulate filters are not an option. At the O'Hare Airport Modernization Program in Chicago, Illinois, DOCs are the emission reduction technology of choice. A DOC can reduce particulate matter by 20 to 40%, reduce hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide by up to 50%, and reduce many toxic air pollutants. DOCs are often selected because they may be used with a variety of fuels. However, the greatest levels of reduction are achieved by using DOCs with ultra-low sulfur diesel fuels. There are a number of different DOCs available and verified by the EPA and the California Air Resource Board. Typical installation is relatively straightforward, and there is little maintenance required.
As far as retrofitting a vehicle with the diesel oxidation catalyst there, we actually have a cross-reference list that's published for it. So if you know the existing muffler part number that's on the vehicle, all you have to do is look that up, crosses over to its replacement diesel oxidation catalyst filter, and it can be done very easily right across the parts counter. Takes no training to install it, has no adverse effects on the operation, output, fuel economy, anything on the vehicle, and it is truly a direct bolt-on replacement for the muffler.
Retrofit technologies are advancing at a rapid pace. The use of established technologies such as diesel oxidation catalysts, or DOCs, and diesel particulate filters, or DPFs, continues to grow exponentially, while new emerging technologies are steadily improving.
The machine runs, I think, a lot more efficiently, and the greatest thing, especially working down in this area, is with the concerns for the environment. This machine is actually a godsend to actually have this built into the machine.
I think from my operators' notices, they think it's better. I think, you know, environmentally being around the machine is safer and better. In all means, it's better for us as construction people and for the public around.
These new technologies are helping us reduce harmful emissions, and such practices as eliminating unnecessary idling can help to lower emissions while reducing fuel consumption and improving your bottom line.
We're more educated about it now. We know more what we'll be getting into on future projects, as do the suppliers and the manufacturer of the equipment. So I would suspect as time goes on, this is just going to be second nature.
I believe the movement we're seeing to repower older machines with more efficient, cleaner burning engines is here with us. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg that we're seeing right now. I believe that restrictions are going to become more stringent.
As national air quality awareness heightens, we must continue to find ways to make our construction equipment, our practices, and our business choices more environmentally friendly. These affordable, available, clean diesel techniques and practices provide a strategy that can help local, state, and tribal air quality planning organizations meet national air quality standards. They are reducing the adverse health impacts of air pollution and improving the quality of life for everyone.
I feel a lot better when I go home, you know, compared to running the older rigs, you know. So This is clean, and it's lean, and it's mean. That's all I could tell you.
What's so great about these environmental performance commitments or measures that the agencies are working with the community and the people that live and work in the community to make it better. It's not only better for the people that work and live down here, but it's also better for the workers as well. And it's really nice that we've been able to come together to make our community more livable. The South Ferry train station, subway station, is also right there in the middle of Battery Park City. And people, when they want to come to the park, they don't want to be smelling diesel fumes. They want to be looking at the beautiful flowers and smelling the roses.
The New York Metropolitan Transportation Authority's Lower Manhattan construction projects and the people who work on them demonstrate the will, the determination, and the innovation that defines the American spirit, protecting the quality of air we leave for generations to come. For more information regarding EPA's Clean Diesel program, please contact www.epa.gov/cleandiesel.